Over the next 4 years, Americans will commemorate the events and the battles of the war between the states. Nearly 125 years have passed since it all began in Charleston, South Carolina, when secession divided the Union.
The old bitterness has faded, but that famed Southern charm remains. Our special correspondent, Clark Booth, reports now in part 3 of his Civil War series, A House Divided.
The children of Charleston's best families are regaled at a Halloween party at the Calhoun House, built by the descendants of the legendary political leader of the Old South, John Caldwell Calhoun.
I don't want to go in there.
It is a graceful evening, elegant and, yes, coy, fully in the deepest tradition of this town. Charleston, lovely Charleston, has quietly come all the way back at last.
Charleston has grown enormously, not in population, but in diversity. And in doing so, it is becoming more like the city that existed before the war than the city that existed after the war.
But it took 120 years to do it. That Charleston became the symbol of secession to Boston was most ironic. For a long time, they were sister cities, bonded by cotton. But when the slavery debate became extreme, not even the huge profits of the textile trade could bridge the rift. Charleston's almost European charm, which had long fascinated stoic New Englanders, now became evidence of the indulgence and decadence of the plantation class.
Gothic articulation.
Walk these streets today and absorb this city's sweeping loveliness, and you are struck by the paradox that it was here that the hatreds boiled over, leading first to secession and then to the firing of the first shot. Fort Sumter rises from the choppy waters of Charleston Harbor, a grim brick specter set upon a sandbar. From its cannon mounts surveying the city 3 miles away, you can understand Sumter's strategic importance then, but it was its emotional impact with its Union banners mocking rebellion that made it the flashpoint of war. For 4 months, secessionist hotheads stalked Charleston, waiting for Union Major Robert Anderson and his meager force of 85 men to withdraw peacefully. When, by April 13, 1861, it became clear Anderson would never do that, the firing began. It was a struggle full of irony.
No one was killed in the bombardment, but after Major Anderson surrendered, the garrison was graciously allowed to offer a 100-gun salute while its flag was being lowered. During that ceremony, a cartridge exploded, killing a young Union soldier by the name of Daniel Howe. He was the first fatality of the Civil War. In the next 4 years, there would be about 620,000 more.
Daily now, boats lug tourists to the fort, and some, such as the man from Minnesota whose grandfather fought at Gettysburg, have special reasons for coming.
I was primarily interested in the attitude of the Southerners as to whether they felt as strongly now as they did when I met them during World War II. They were very strong feelings about that war. And they still have, I think.
Northerners need to be reminded again and again that no matter how much time has passed and how many wounds have been healed, this is the South, the very heart of the old Dixie. And the Civil War remains a very sensitive subject here.
I'd rather not give my own opinion on the Civil War, no. You know, everybody have their own opinion. People don't, we several times look alike, but we don't think alike.
But they don't dwell on their differences as they once did. Charleston is now promoting the charm of her past, not the politics of her past. No city in America has been better preserved, but that's only because for so long after the war, it was so poor that there was no money to tear down the old and build something new. In that way, Charleston was lucky, and that may be the keenest irony of all. From Charleston, this is Clark Booth reporting.
And when we come back, Ron